Hi, welcome to my review and the full Monty show. Today's guest is the Chiappa Little Badger's granddaddy, the M6. Now, if this looks familiar to you, it should, because it has a close resemblance to the original M6 aircrew survival gun used by the U.S. Air Force back in the 50s. The reason why I say it's a close resemblance and not a copy is because no way that this is anything similar to the original. Although there are 3 other companies that do make close copies, and they are Springfield Armories, TPS Arms, and CZ. The reason why I say this is a close resemblance is actually the only thing that's identical is the name, M6. Otherwise, everything about this is quite different. Starting off with the barrel, this shotgun barrel is on top, and the rifling barrel is on the bottom, while the original M6 is the reverse. Plus, the original biggest caliber with the original is 410, and this one is a 12 gauge. The breakdown lock is the original is up here. You flip like a lock to break it open, while this one is a lever action to break it open. The original is a visible hammer, while this is hammerless. Plus, the original has a mitten trigger, and this is a double trigger. So those are the major difference between the original and the Chiappa M6. What I'm going to do today is do a quick review, and then I'm going to go into the full Monty. I am back. Now, I bought this M6 by itself. You could buy a barrel inserts kit combo for about $250 to $300 more. I paid $750 Canadian for this, and the combo sells anywhere from $1,000 to $1,100. Or you can buy the kit, barrel kit inserts by itself for as much as $400, which makes no sense to me because I don't use any of the calibers that the barrels are made for. Here, instead of telling you what they are, I'm just going to show it to you right there. The only barrel I'll be using out of that, if I were to buy the inserts, would be the 9mm. And actually, I wouldn't even be using that because I already have a sub 2000 Gen 1. So, like, why do I need barrel inserts? Plus the fact it's not an easy insert to use, because if the casing gets stuck, you might have to use a tool to extract the casing. It's a manual extraction, okay, the casing, so it's just an extra part for me to clean. That's why I'm not interested in the inserts at all. The only thing that's of interest, I read through this, is that they gave you a warning if you're going to clean this bore. It has to be from the chamber to the muzzle, and not like the SKS from the muzzle to the chamber. Okay, next let's talk about the specs. The empty weight is 6 pounds or 2.77 kilograms. AOL is 34 inches or 86 centimeters. The barrel length is 18.5 or 47 centimeters. LOP to the first trigger is 13 inches, to the second is 12, rather short. And the trigger pull, the first trigger is 4 pounds, the second trigger is averaging about 3 pounds. Okay, why don't we start with the review, and I'll start from the front and then work my way to the back. The 12 gauge comes with a choke. You can see that has a 3-notch, okay, and they do provide you with a tool to replace the choke. Next is the fiber optic front sight. Okay, it's in combination with a hole for the sling. It's all made out of steel. Then comes, which is are the 3 rails, one on the right, one on the top, and one on the left. And sadly, those are the 3 same rails that are on the grandson, the Chiappa Little Badger, which costs 3.5 times less. And I'm shocked that they're using the same rails on the Granddaddy. The only only things that are plastic in this gun are the cleaning kit cap and the 3 rails. So I'm surprised. At least put aluminum rails on the top, because that's where the red dot's going to be. These plastic will deteriorate in time, and you'll have to keep tightening the red dot. So next is the rear sight. It's identical to the M1 Chiappa and the Chiappa Little Badger rear sight. The only difference are the base of the Chiappa Little Badger is plastic and the ramp is plastic, while on the M6 it's alloy and the ramp is also alloy. That's what I'm saying. You're paying 3.5 times more. Why couldn't they replace these rails with aluminum like they did with the rear sight? I have no idea. It wouldn't have cost them that much more. The receiver is made out of steel and at very tight tolerance. That's why I wouldn't be concerned when opening and closing this that the action would wobble at all. So that's why I like this. Okay. Then to open the action, brake action, it's by this lever. You pull it, and that's the extractor will come up and bring out your casing for the 12 gauge up there and the 22 below. Okay. And you'll see these firing pin holes. The top ones are the 12 gauge and the bottom ones are the 22 LR. And as you close this back down again, you can see the extractor is retrieving back in it. Okay. Next are the triggers. This is a similar double barrel trigger, one for the front, one for the back. The front is for the top, which is the shotgun 12 gauge, and the back is for the lower barrel, which is 22 LR. Above that is a switch. When you push it forward, it shows an F, which means fire, and then you pull it back down, shows an S, which means safe. Okay. Then the stock is a 2 sheet metal on either side, sandwiching a styrofoam. Okay, this is not the same packing styrofoam. It's more denser and harder, and it's all in black. Okay, and on top part it has you can hold 5 22 LRs. Here you see the 5 holes, then 2 shotgun 12 gauge holes, and this is for your cleaning kit, which basically, let me see, how do you, I removed it before, here it is, there it is, that's your cap, and basically is just a pull through with a brush for the 22 and and I guess it's a cloth also for the 22. There is a punch here, and that's basically what it is. A cleaning kit for the 22, and it's just a cap. You put it back in. Now you'll notice that this is wider in the back, and you need to be wider because of the 12 gauge shotgun. You're going to have quite a bit of kick, and you need a wider back. Okay, it just can't be thin going all the way down like the original M6, which is basically the same thickness all the way down. So let's see, how does it shoulder? This does not shoulder really well, and the The styrofoam is really uncomfortable. It feels rather rough. They didn't even smooth that over. So, and it's kind of hard to see at 100. I can't even use the 100. It's too low for my cheek. I'm getting a really poor cheek well. So, yeah, the stock is really sharp, uncomfortable, and I can't even use the rear sight. So this I would be using with a red dot. So, and also the lever to break open, I need practice because it doesn't, yeah, you have to use a little bit of force at the end. I guess I could improve that with a little bit of practice. Okay, so that's the end of the review. The next thing I'm going to start is the full Monty. So stick around. Let's begin with the full Monty. Now, with all disassembly, what I normally do is release the firing pin. Okay, so when you pull on this lever, it does two things. It opens the action. It also pulls the hammer, the two hammer back. Okay, this. So it pulled the two hammer back, and it opened the action. And this receiver here at the joint, it pushed the extractor out. Now you can see the firing pin is inside the receiver. Now let's put it at firing. Yep, the safety is firing. And when I pull this front trigger, you should be able to see the firing pin pop up. See, it's up now. Now the second one, can you see the second one? Here's the second one. And now the second one also popped out. Okay. So now I can begin with separating the barrel from the stock. It uses a torque screw driver. I previously loosened this up. Now, you only need to do one side. There's the same identical screw on the other side, and there is a shaft that goes through. Okay, and you don't have to remove this if you don't want to. And then put this on a block using a punch and a mallet. Punch it up. And there you go. It separate the two halves. Okay, why don't we put aside the stock part here. Here's the shaft, the axis pin that went all the way across. It's tight tolerance. There's two identical screws on each side. They are locked tight. Let's begin with the barrel part. Let's start with the choke. They do provide you with a screw, and you just basically unscrew it. And here it comes. Okay, set that aside. You do not remove the fiber optic front sight. And now, removing these cheap rails. Again, it uses a torque screwdriver. Okay, this is what it looks like. Actually looks better without the rail, believe it or not. Okay, the next thing you remove is the sight, rear sight, and then I'll remove the extractor. Now the sight, there is a C-clamp on the left side. Use a straight edge screwdriver and just push the opening up like this, like that. And wouldn't you know, it jumped up. Now I gotta start looking for it. Okay, I found it. Small C clamp, and I will put it on this magnet tray. And then you turn this dial counterclockwise. And be careful as you're doing that, because the ball bearing and the spring will fall out. Now, the ball is 2mm. I have dropped it, and at the moment I can't find it, but I'll show you where it is. It's at this location, just below the dial, right there. Okay, and there's supposed to be a ball and a spring. Here, I'll try to remove that. I'm going to use a nail. Okay, it looks like the spring also, oh, I remember where the spring is. I put it in a separate bag. This spring, so I won't lose it. It's a very tiny spring, and it goes into that hole. And there's a 2mm ball that goes with it. I put this in the bag because I didn't want to lose it. I already lost the ball. Okay, once you remove the dial, the ramp falls out. Now you have to be careful because the ramp has also a spring and a plunger. Very tiny spring and very tiny plunger. And it goes towards the back. There's a big hole in the back off to the side. That's where it goes. Okay. What the plunger does, it stops the rear sight from coming out. Okay. So I don't want to do that yet. Let me see if I can find the spring that was in there. I found the plunger. Okay, it looks like I also lost the spring. These tiny parts are so easy to lose. Okay, let's see if I can pick it up. Yes, I can pick up with a screwdriver. Okay. So, let's look at it again. There's a larger 2mm hole towards the back and on off to one side. There's a plunger that goes in and then followed by a spring. And I can't find the spring right now. It's here somewhere. It's so easy to lose. Okay, now once that comes off, then you remove the rear sight. Now you have to be careful because there's more ball bearing and spring. You go like that. And here it is. Oop, I heard a drop. Okay, Again, the ball bearing has dropped. I heard it. I heard it drop. I can't see it. And here is the tiny spring with a 2mm ball. Very tiny. It goes under the rear sight. I'm not too concerned with losing the ball because I plan to use a red dot anyway, but you can see, just demonstrating, just doing a disassembly of the rear sight. Don't do it if you don't have to, but see how easy it's to lose these ball bearings and spring? They just seem to up and fly away. I heard it drop, so it has to be here somewhere. Hope it didn't fall off the table. But in any case, this is what it looks like afterwards. And you can see there's 4 positions for the ball bearing. And the first one is 100 meters, 200 meters, 250 meters, and 300 meters. This is for the 22. So let's put that aside. Once this is the base of the rear sight, and you have to use a hex Allen wrench to remove the base. Now don't unscrew this all the way. So you have to use a mallet. And there it is. This is the bottom, sides, and it slides in like a dovetail. And this is made out of alloy. And this is what the receiving of the rear sight looks like right there. Okay, next is the extractor. You use a really small screwdriver. And there is a screw right on the right side, right here. You just unscrew that. That's what it looks like. I can see some damages on the screw already, and I don't know why. This gun is unfired. It's brand new, so I can see parts of it shiny. So I'm going to put it here on the magnet tray. Now, once you remove this tiny screwdriver that's just below the serial number right here, right there, you can now slide the extractor out. And this is what the extractor looks like. Okay. And this is where that tiny screw prevents it from coming all the way out. This is where the shotgun shell would sit. This is where the 22 shell would sit. So you put that there. And as far as the front part of the action concerned, the disassembly is done. Now I can focus on the back. The back, you use another torque screwdriver, and you start removing all these screws. There are 2 types here. The one with the bigger heads is for the stock, and then the one with the smaller heads are for the grip area. Okay. You use the same torque wrench, just different heads. Then you remove one and I'll show you the difference. As you can see, the one where the grip area is a smaller head compared to the stock. Stock has a bigger head, and it's also the stock has longer, slightly longer. So let's keep them apart. Now the sling, this is different. Now, back below this plate right here, which is a stock combination, it has your FCG. Okay, you just pull that up. And this is just a steel sheet metal. I'll put that there. And this is what your FCG fire control group looks like. And this is what your styrofoam looks like. You can see the safeties right here. Here's the 2-hammer spring, and these are the 2 hammers. Okay, right here. These are the 2 trigger, and this is the lever that cocks the hammer. Now I'm going to flip it over gently. I'm going to remove the remaining screw on the left side. Okay, now that I'm all done, I'll lift up the left plate. Let me remove the screw, and let's wipe it better. This is the left plate. It's just a steel plate, nothing fancy. And as I observe the FCG, I can now remove the styrofoam stock. Fairly light, but very sturdy. And embedded in the stock are the screws, actually the nuts. And there's one more thing to do here. You can pry the cap open, but you can also pry the whole container out. And this is what the container for the cleaning kit looks like. You put it together as one piece, and you can see the hole is slightly bigger than the 12-gauge shotgun hole. Okay, so that's done. This I will disassemble later if I do have time. So that's basically ends the full Monty of the Chiappa Little Badger Granddaddy, the M6. Thank you very much for joining me, and please subscribe.